If you are targeting B2B SaaS founders, then this is the Clay table for you. So this is what I use to do some of my outreach. It's got a few different use cases in here. Clay's a great tool that I use for personalization of emails at scale. I think that's probably the main use case of Clay and what most users would be using it for. It has a whole bunch of other uses that I'll do in a subsequent video. The target list is clearly, founders, co-founders of startups from about seed through to Series A. I believe there was a funding cap of the last 90 days for these founders as well. So I've pulled the list, I've imported them to Clay. Nice and simple. We've got all the data that you'd expect. First name, last names, job titles, companies, emails, contact LinkedIn profiles, all that good stuff. The first thing you want to do before building out a Clay table, you can import it, that's fine. But before you add any enrichment, any personalization, you want to figure out a use case. So in this instance, the question I would ask myself is, how am I going to get a founder's attention via email, via LinkedIn, whatever it might be? What's a memorable experience for them that may cause a trigger for them to respond or at least read my message? In this case, it's fundraising, right? Fundraising in the last 90 days. I pulled this list from Crunchbase and Traction and uploaded it into here. They're going to remember raising money. It's a huge milestone in a founder's journey. So I've now enriched using Deal Room. I'll show you here. Using the company website and the Deal Room integration, we can pull the fundraising information, right? So we can potentially pull out all of these columns, total funding amount, what currency it's in, when it was last updated, the last funding date, not sure what the difference is there, what round it was, and so on, right? Now, for my email campaigns and for my outreach campaigns, I actually used to use the total funding amount, and I used to obviously put that into a dollar format, but I've heard, and no one really knows this, but I've heard that dollar signs in emails is a no-no. It's kind of a flag, potentially spam. So I actually stopped using this. Now I use the latest funding round. So you can see here I've pulled, seed rounds, the Series A rounds, etc., etc. Then I haven't run this all, but you can see a few examples here. I want to normalize this word here because I'm going to use it in an email. I don't want it to be all caps. So using ChatGPT, I pay for ChatGPT on the back end. You can normalize the job title and say, write the latest funding round, so this column here, not in capital letters. And then it'll basically just, normalize it there. Here's the output, fantastic. That's one use case done. I'll tell you a quick story as well. Clay can get expensive very, very quickly. So I used to run a slightly different prompt here where I would actually write the entire subject line and there was another column for the hook. So I used to say something like congratulations or congrats on raising a seed round, for example. But that took two separate prompts, and that means I'm running different columns, multiple times. That costs a lot of credits. So credits are up here. It can get very expensive very, very quickly. Now what I do is I try to limit the complexity and the different variables that go into the output. So previously I've done like a lot of if statements. So if the input says this, output this, and it'll have 3 different use cases in one prompt. It becomes very expensive. I focus on one prompt equals one use case now and a very, very simple output. I would rather have the differentiation and the different variables of an input put into instantly, which is my email campaign, and just have different campaigns for different types of personalization. It's a lot cheaper. Clay can become very expensive very, very quickly. So one column is one use case. That's the best way to think about it. So in the funding instance, the subject line could say, congrats on raising your input this seed round. Congrats on raising your seed round, right? Still personalized, very simple. It's just one small variable in the subject line. I can also reuse this for the first line of the email. Congratulations on raising your seed round of funding. Would love to chat about your amazing startup. Whatever that wording is, however you like. Very simple. You pull one bit of information and reuse it as many times as you like. And it can be pretty effective. The next use case is around a LinkedIn post. Now, not everyone posts on LinkedIn. So for this particular ICP, so going after B2B SaaS, early stage startup founders, these guys do commonly, post compared to other ICPs that I work with and other customers. So you will find some posts here. This is an out of the box play scrape. Essentially, you can use the contact LinkedIn profile. You can pick a date for when that person has posted on LinkedIn. And then again, you can pull out a whole bunch of data. So you could say how many comments they've had, comment on their engagement, congrats on getting, a solid amount of engagement, reactions, same thing, time it was posted, what the post is, the URL, etc., etc. So eventually you'll run this column and you'll see a few people have posted, right? Then the question is, how do we leverage that? So they're going to remember posting on LinkedIn, most likely. They probably wrote the post or they had someone ghostwrite it and they approved it or something. So the next part is, how do we use that same LinkedIn post to write an initial first line of an email? So this is this column here. Basically, we're going to use the input from before and we're going to say, write a cold opening line using the LinkedIn post. Select the post with the most words, right? Your line should not exceed 30 words. So I like to keep it nice and short, business casual language. And then I actually say specifically to follow this structure as the opener. So love your LinkedIn post about, and then basically summarize the post to show that you've read it, show that you can pull out some unique insight, and that will write an opening email sentence. So love your LinkedIn post about Vincent Waterman's insightful whiteboard series, tracking email challenges. Your commitment to practical vetted content truly enhances industry understanding data complexities. Cool. Fantastic. So basically, those are two very high value personalization techniques for B2B SaaS founders. So the first one is recently funded. The second one is a LinkedIn post. I would say to run what you think is going to be the most impactful first to get the most contacts with the most impact. So you want to do funding first in this case. That's what I've decided. Most startups that I target have been funded, so I actually get quite good coverage across the group. Second is a LinkedIn post. It's not quite as powerful. It's not like such a big milestone in their career, in their life, in their business. So it's probably going to get less attention, but you have to personalize every email, so you've got to figure out new use cases. The third one here, company subject line, I use Claygent, which is Clay's web scraper that they've built internally. This one is even less effective, I guess we could say, as the previous two. So I run it last. So basically all the leftover contacts that haven't fit the first two use cases of personalization would fall into here. So basically what this prompt says is go and scrape the company's LinkedIn profile description and then type out your expertise in and give me a quick summary under 6 words. So that's a very, very quick summary of what that company does, right? So what that founder does essentially. So your expertise in recruiting automation, your expertise in climate risk intelligence, your expertise in home renting, right? So those types of personalization, again, less emotional, less of an impact, less of a kind of milestone that they're going to remember. But ultimately, you have to personalize every single email. It's definitely worth it. So you kind of work backwards from the best use case all the way to the what should be the less effective use case for your email campaigns. Now, depending on your setup, you can have an integration with your CRM from Clay. I use Airtable, so I actually just copy paste everything back into Airtable. That's like my source of truth for data, and then I upload it to my Instantly campaigns, which is my email automation tool. If you would like a copy of this Clay table, just comment on this post and I can send it over to you.